The British government is facing another lockdown party scandal following a leaked email that showed Downing Street ignoring COVID-19 restriction guidelines. In May 2020, during the height of the country's lockdown, the Prime Minister's principal private secretary invited over 100 employees to a Downing Street social gathering. Boris Johnson and his wife Carrie Johnson are alleged to have attended the event, breaking government guidelines. Labour's deputy leader Angela Rayner called out the PM in Parliament today for dodging accountability and the incident.
It is incredibly disappointing, but not unsurprising, that the Prime Minister, of whom I asked this question, is not here today, despite not having any official engagements. And I think, Mr. Speaker, his absence speaks volumes, as does his smirks on the media. The public have already drawn their own conclusions. He can run, but he can't hide.
Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Victoria Smith in London. So, Victoria, calls for Boris Johnson to answer the question over whether he was at the party in Downing Street or a series of parties are multiplying. So how can you refuse to address these questions?
Evening, Roo. Well, yeah, we saw last night that he ducked the questions when asked by reporters, and we saw today that he ducked the question by simply not being present in the Houses of Parliament when the Deputy Labour leader Angela Rayner asked that question. In fact, hardly any of his party were there at all, and it was left to the Paymaster General, Michael Ellis, to take the flak. But even he didn't answer the question. Everybody is obviously been told to say that it all depends on the outcome of this inquiry led by the senior civil servant Sue Gray. Now, she will take several weeks to ask questions of all those who are thought to have possibly attended this alleged party here behind 10 Downing Street, at the gardens behind 10 Downing Street. And she will make her inquiry findings public, but we may well have to wait until that happens. Now, in the meantime, we know that Boris Johnson and his team are not answering questions, but they do have one or two tricks up their sleeve should they be pressed further publicly. And one of those could be that they say that this was less of a party and more of a business meeting. Apparently, some meetings do take place outside in the garden in fine weather. The problem, of course, is the nature of the invitation that's been leaked to the press now. The invitation specifically says, wouldn't it be nice to take advantage of the lovely weather and have a gathering, a socially distanced gathering? And it invites more than 100 parliamentary staff to come along and bring their own booze. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds like an invitation to me, and that's going to be the subject of this inquiry. But it does look as if this inquiry will take place under the stern guiding hand of Sue Gray. But we may well have to wait, Roo, until that inquiry takes shape and, in fact, is made public at the end of it.
So the number of parties that have been held at Downing Street are estimated to be in double figures at this stage. Boris Johnson did save himself somewhat before Christmas, but how long till it becomes fatal to his position?
Well, obviously, the kickback here from the public has been pretty tough today, and that'll worry the party to some extent. These cries of hypocrisy, people saying, you know, because they stuck to the rules back in May 2020, they weren't allowed to visit loved ones, to see people in care homes, to see those who are perhaps terminally ill. That's caused a lot of public outrage. But what will really worry the Prime Minister and his team is the mumblings going on, the mutterings in the party itself. They're going to be looking, for example, at the poll ratings, which are still putting Labour in the lead ahead of the Tories, and Boris Johnson's personal ratings as well as Prime Minister, which have been declining since June and reached an all-time low in mid-December, still pretty much there. That's what's going to be worrying the party faithful and the party unfaithful. And there will be mutterings perhaps over the next few weeks about whether Boris Johnson is the right man to take them to the next election, is the right man to be the Prime Minister and party leader.